Hey everyone, I'm Fox with FoxeoGames, and this is Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U, the spiritual sequel to the Wii exclusive Xenoblade Chronicles. While they bear a similar name, the two games do not share the same setting or story, only gameplay elements and themes. X is a massive game. It's essentially an open-world JRPG with so much to do, it can be more than a little overwhelming. The game world is reportedly larger than that of both Fallout 4 and Skyrim combined, and there are so many side quests, characters, classes, skills, battle arts, story quests, collectible items, upgrades, and more that it's easy to get lost in it all. But more importantly, is this incredibly complex and massive open-world JRPG worth getting lost in the first place? Let's find out. The game begins with a cutscene in which a narrator explains that Earth was caught in the crossfire of two unknown alien species who decided to wage war in its orbit. Fortunately, humankind had been warned of this incoming battle and prepared numerous large ships to escape the doomed Earth. Unfortunately, only 2 of these ships seemed to escape the Earth's orbit, and yours was known as the White Whale. After 2 years of wandering the universe looking for a new home, one of the alien species has caught up to your ship, and eventually the habitat ring of the vessel crash lands on the planet now known as Mira. Mankind has begun a new life here using the remains of the ship, and the city has been named New Los Angeles. You begin the game by creating and customizing your character, an unusual step in a JRPG. You can select a male or female, change physical attributes like their face, hair, and body structure, and pick various colors for your skin, hair, and eyes. You have many options for voice actors, which surprisingly lists the real-life names of the voice actors who actually did the voice work. I chose Karina Reeves, who also happens to be my favorite voice actress. Oddly enough, the bust slider for female character creation was removed in the Western release of the game, so you're stuck with the default breast size. You awake from a stasis pod where you'll meet many characters that join your party during your journey throughout the game, which of course should be no surprise. You will generally have the option to choose the members of your party, although many story quests will require specific party members. Unlike most JRPGs, X has a variety of integrated multiplayer features that we'll discuss later. The story in X starts out pretty solid and stays interesting for a short time. Then it really takes a turn and starts to slow down, revealing little of importance. A few interesting things happen here or there, but it takes a while before the story really picks back up again. When it does, you'll be discovering some very interesting plot points and twists. They made the choice of progressing the main storyline in segments separated by mandatory side quests. Yes, you heard that. There are side quests that you can choose to do at your own leisure once you meet the minimum requirements, but each story segment may require that a specific one of those side quests be completed before you can continue the main story. Generally, you'll have to complete an affinity mission, achieve a specific character level, and explore a certain percentage of an area before you're allowed to proceed. This is interesting in that it forces you to go out and explore even if you don't want to. In short, you cannot simply pursue the main storyline. You must complete a variety of other objectives which you may have potentially already completed without even realizing that it was mandatory. For example, for one story segment, known as a chapter, you're required to explore 20% of one of the game's lands. If you've already done that, then all the better, it counts as completed. If you've explored anything less than 20%, you'll have to explore it at your own leisure until you have. Which areas you choose to explore is entirely up to you. Getting back to the story itself, how does it stack up to games like Xenogears and Xenoblade Chronicles? Well, the pacing can seem to pick up, then slow down, then pick up again. The mandatory missions in between story missions can sometimes feel like filler, and that's really because they are. They're designed to pad out the length of the game. Most of the side quests are mediocre at best, with some being particularly interesting and even unlocking really cool new features of the game, while others do little more than send you on kill and fetch quests. The good news is that most of these are optional. The bad news is that it's impossible to know which of these will unlock an important feature, such as a new line of weaponry or armor or a new feature for your characters to use. The main story is not as strong as many other JRPGs, and certainly falls short of the intensity and depth of its predecessor, Xenoblade Chronicles. While there are numerous affinity missions to expand on the characters in the game, the overall character development is pretty mediocre. There will be some genuinely interesting twists and turns during the story, but a lot of the stuff between those interesting plot points feels like it's half-baked. No doubt the choice to allow the player to create their own character greatly limited their ability to craft a more interesting and custom-tailored story, and I think it would have been better to have a set main character like in most other JRPGs. As I mentioned earlier, the story starts strong, then kind of just drags for a while in the middle, only very occasionally revealing anything significant. However, the endgame is beyond incredible. Without spoiling anything, let me just say that the finale to Xenoblade Chronicles X goes out with a bang, and there's a lot of very interesting exposition in a very short period of time. While not all the facets of the story feel fully fledged out, there's plenty to think about after the credits roll. Oh, and keep watching even after the credits finish rolling. The game will eventually allow you to pick up where you left off, giving you a chance to do anything you weren't able to do prior to completing the main storyline. X doesn't simply end, it just puts you back into the game, where you can continue to play to your heart's content. And trust me, there's plenty to do, even if it's not all interesting, including tackling massively powerful level 99 bosses. While the story may falter at points, where X really shines is in the gameplay. There is so much to do here, it's hard to know where to start explaining it all. Let's cover most of the key things very briefly and then get into the combat. Before we start, let me mention that you have a lot of customization of your camera controls and user interface for a console title. You can separately control how the camera looks and works while both on foot or in your mechs, as well as turn display on or off for a variety of interface elements. The game heavily pushes you toward exploration and discovery. This is a good thing because the game's vistas are pretty amazing, but more on that later. You acquire experience, weapons, armor, items, money, and various other resources via exploration and combat. Exploring also entails finding and installing data probes. The data probe interaction occurs entirely via the Wii U tablet controller, and the use of the tablet controller is mandatory. You can fast travel between these data points as well as other points on the map, but you must use the tablet controller to do so. You can also do unique emotes and gestures, as well as write messages for other online players to read, but again, all of this is done only via the tablet controller. What this means is that you absolutely, positively must have the tablet controller on hand at nearly all times. The problem is that this game begs to be played for long sessions and the tablet controller battery just isn't up to the task. I found myself using the Wii U Pro controller and setting the tablet controller close to me on the desk in its power cradle, so it was constantly charging as I played for hours on end. If you play exclusively with the tablet controller in your hands, as most people will, you'll probably have to plug it in a lot. If you want to play with the tablet controller away from your TV or monitor, you can, but you'll have to switch back and forth between TV mode and tablet mode in order to access the tablet-only fast travel, data probe management, and so on. Back to the data probes. These are super important. They advance your discovery of the map as each probe unlocks the surrounding hexes on the map. Each probe location can be installed with a number of different types of probes. These different probes serve different functions, such as mining resources, generating revenue, assisting with combat, expanding resource storage, and more. Figuring out how to optimize the placement of probes is itself a sort of mini-game. Putting identical probes next to each other enhances their performance, as does placing them with a duplicator or booster probe. Each probe location yields different resource results as indicated by your tablet controller. Take it from me when I say that you could easily spend over an hour or more later in the game just trying to maximize your probe placement. The probes you install at these locations can be found throughout the map via treasures, which will require one of 3 different field skills to access. Each field skill has multiple levels you must advance through. Throughout the game world are little blue crystals that represent a wide variety of different items. These items are used for crafting, upgrading, gathering quests, and for slotting into your Collectopedia. The Collectopedia, which was also featured in Xenoblade Chronicles, allows you to collect and store one of each item, which yield battle points for upgrades as well as additional unlockable items. You can find various weapons and armor throughout the game, as well as upgrade them, slot augments into them, and even craft unique weapons. If you don't like the way an armor set looks, but you still want to keep it for the stats, well, guess what? You're in luck. The game features a fashion gear option, which allows you to wear whatever armor is best for your character, but select different gear to see on your character model in-game. This is a really cool feature for those that like to play dress-up, or for those who just want to run around the game world in the various swimsuits that can be unlocked in the game. There's even more stuff to do and discover in the game, but let's discuss the combat. Just like with Xenoblade Chronicles, X's combat features a unique MMO-style approach. Battle begins as soon as you encounter a hostile creature or initiate combat. You can move around freely and even run from battle. Movement is important as many of your arts gain additional power or effects based on your position. Arts are your combat abilities, which range from melee and ranged attacks, area of effect attacks, buffs and debuffs, heals, and more. Arts have cooldowns before they can be used again, although certain events can shorten or eliminate these cooldowns during combat. Learning the best rotation for your arts is a challenge, but it's generally best to topple an enemy first, and then lay into them with your hardest hitting attacks, especially after buffing yourself with damage increasing arts. Your arts depend on your class, and you can choose from a wide variety of classes. Classes all branch out, and so certain classes must be unlocked first before others become available. The player character can specialize in any class and even change classes freely, but all of the NPCs in the game who join your party will have a set class. Your class unlocks which weapons you're able to use as long as you're of the required level. With your classes also come skills, which are passive bonuses that don't need to be activated. You can upgrade your arts or skills via battle points, which are obtained through various activities in the game, including the aforementioned Collectopedia. Soul voices are an interesting feature in combat. You can choose the soul voices you want for your character, and then when characters speak specific lines, that's your cue that you can take advantage of unique bonuses. If your character shouts a specific soul voice line, that may mean that you'll get a bonus to your heals, increases to melee damage, or something else along those lines. To put it mildly, there's a ton of complexity to the combat, and we haven't even addressed the Skell battle system. Once you get access to your Skell, you'll be able to traverse the game with a giant mech of your choosing, which can be bought and customized with weapons and armor. The weapon you equip on your Skell determines your abilities in combat. Skell combat can occur in flight once you get your flight module later in the game. You can freely enter and exit your Skell during combat unless you're in a confined space where the Skells cannot fit, such as caves. There are some different features to combat when you're in your Skell, but the basics remain the same. In addition to upgrading your arts and skills, you level up through the normal progression of acquiring experience. Trying to tackle an enemy of a much higher level than you will pretty much guarantee that you're going to get one shot into oblivion. My advice, stick to enemies relatively close to your level and under. We can talk forever about the combat, but we'll have to move on. Now, I do have to say that once you finally get access to your Skell, get ready because these things are awesome. It's fun just traveling around, converting into a vehicle like a transformer, or taking off into the skies once you finally get your flight module later. I can't even begin to tell you how freeing it is to be able to finally fly and explore the entirety of the game world. You can fly around the city of New Los Angeles and from land to land without having to endure a single loading screen. In fact, the only time I can think of where you actually zone into an area is pretty much in the Blade Barracks and the Blade Tower. Other than that, the entire game world is open and free of loading screens. Skells are also awesome in combat, although losing your Skell can be pretty costly if you run out of Skell insurance and have no more salvage tickets to use. To put it simply, Skells are incredibly fun to use and their coolness factor is a solid 10. While there is more to the gameplay and combat, it's time to discuss the graphics. This is the next area in which X really stands out. While the Wii U is unquestionably the weakest console of the 8th generation, and while I've been spoiled by my more powerful gaming PC, I just can't deny that the incredible visual experience Monolith Soft managed to squeeze out of the Wii U is nothing short of amazing. X pushes the Wii U to its utter limits. In fact, there are some free downloadable data packs for the game which are highly recommended for disc-based versions of the game. Downloading these data packs can significantly improve loading times. Despite the Wii U's somewhat weak performance, X features some of the most breathtaking visuals I've seen in a long time. When you think of the Wii U, you generally don't think of a massively open-world RPG with giant waterfalls, expansive mountain ranges, and enormous city landscapes. Flying around in my Skell is its own reward, just being able to see everything that the developers have so painstakingly and lovingly crafted into the world of Mira. The only shame here is that this game can't take advantage of a more powerful platform, because in order to achieve these amazing visuals, many sacrifices had to be made. One of the biggest issues is that while the landscape has incredible draw distance, there are significant issues with texture pop-in. Many character, object, and even enemy models will fade into view right in front of you. It's actually possible at times to stumble into an enemy and not see the enemy character model render until the battle has already begun. Occasionally, certain textures on objects like cars or buildings will linger in this low-res format until finally their higher-res format loads in, and it's really noticeable at times. It can even happen with your weapons and armor when in the menus. Lighting and shadows look awesome, but are mostly stagnant. The time of day and weather effects all look really good, and it's absolutely breathtaking to be running along the beach with the rising sun in the background. Unfortunately, the game suffers from really bad aliasing, otherwise known as the jaggies. Nearly everything in this game, from landscape to character models to weapons to skells to just about everything, looks horribly jagged. X is a great looking game, but it would look so much nicer if it had some good anti-aliasing. Still, I want to stress that while the graphics suffer from the limitations of the Wii U, there's no doubt that these are some of the best visuals you're going to find on the system, particularly the long draw distances and expansive landscapes. Quite simply, X is a massively beautiful game when taken as a whole. There's no question that the sound effects in the game are amazing and really pack a punch. The gun blasts, melee strikes, and numerous arcs universally sound great and match the equally impressive visual effects. I'm going to harp on a negative point next, but please don't misunderstand me when I say that the sound effects in general are incredible. The music, on the other hand, is a really mixed bag, and some people will likely hate some of the choices they've made. Unfortunately, I'm in this boat as well. Many of the main songs don't just feature vocals, but they have lyrics throughout the entire song. This can not only become extremely tedious and repetitive, hearing the same lyrics over and over and over again, but there's another major issue. The songs are all played exceptionally loud with no option to turn them down. Not only do they drown out many of the sound effects and voices during combat, but they even make it difficult to near impossible to hear character dialogue during cutscenes. Yes, you heard me. The music continues to play loudly during cutscenes with lyrics. It's easy to see that not only did they flop big time on the sound engineering here, but they also failed to provide audio options to adjust the volume. There is literally no solution at this time, and I find it unlikely that it'll be patched out. The best you can do for now is just turn on all subtitles and read what it is you're supposed to be able to hear. Another complaint I have is the type of lyrics you find in many of the songs. In some cases it sounds like hip-hop or even kind of rap music, which in my opinion just feels completely out of place and awkward. I mean, while wandering around in New Los Angeles, you get to hear this tiresome beat in which a guy repeatedly sings, "Oh, yeah, just over and over and over again until it nearly drives you insane. It's like the feeling of being stuck in a retail store and the same songs keep playing over and over on the Muzak station. All it needs now is a cheap subwoofer vibrating the trunk of an old junky car and you've got the whole rap music package complete. I can't stress enough how disappointed I am that I spent so much of the game listening to this terrible song with no option to even turn it off or down. I'm legitimately serious when I tell you that after the nearly 80 hours I spent playing this game, I hear this song looping in my head when I'm doing other activities throughout the day, and it practically drives me insane. However, on the good side, most of the other songs are decent, if not really good. Nothing here particularly stands out a lot, and the choice to use modern sounding lyrical songs really left me feeling like this soundtrack was dated before it even got released. Like I said, it's a mixed bag, and ultimately I feel the game would have been better served by more traditional melodic songs than these lyrical pop music songs. You can choose to play the game primarily offline using all NPCs in your party, or you can opt to play with others online. You can even choose to hire offline versions of other player characters as well. You'll even bump into offline player avatars at random points in the game world where you can choose to enlist their help if you want to. You can also register your own player avatar for others to hire out in their games. You can join one of several different divisions in the game, which can yield special bonuses as you and other players accomplish specific goals. You pick these rewards up from the multiplayer terminal whenever the reward icon is highlighted on your Wii U tablet screen. You can participate in timed attack battles as well as other multiplayer mission challenges. When you're done with the mission, you can then compare your performance to that of others online or see the online totals for each division. Yeah, it looks like the prospectors here are just really killing it out there. You can both post messages for others to see and see messages from others while you're playing the game. You can favorite specific people you meet in the game, or you can block them. You can fortunately disable most, if not all, of these social features from the in-game settings menu, just in case you prefer an uninterrupted single-player experience. I chose not to engage in most of the multiplayer features as I prefer my JRPGs to be a uniquely single-player experience. I do want to address some of the other issues with the game. One of the biggest problems with X is that it simply doesn't give you enough direction. You're often just left to fend for yourself to figure out what everything is, how it works, where to go, and what to do. Most of the features of combat are left unstated, and there are entire menus of options that you might not even realize exist. Most game features receive little, if any, explanation. Missions can often be an absolute nightmare to figure out. Take, for example, a specific gathering quest. I wandered around aimlessly with no quest markers or guidance whatsoever, just told to go get a set number of this thing. I was dismayed to discover that I had actually already been through the area of the game where the item can be found, but I was there at the wrong time of day. Yeah, that's right, the items only appear at night. How in the world is anyone supposed to know this or figure it out without hours of aimless wandering and trial or error, or without Googling it? And speaking of that, there's a lot of information about this game which is just not available anywhere. It's not in the official strategy guide, and I couldn't even find it online. Don't be surprised to feel totally clueless at times. Want some advice? Read the in-game manual. I can't stress this enough. And if you get stuck and feel frustrated, don't be ashamed to do a little Googling. Just be careful to avoid spoilers, and hopefully when you Google your question you can actually find an answer, because more often than not I didn't find much of any answers. So how would I sum up my entire experience with Xenoblade Chronicles X? Well, to put it simply, this is a massively deep, engaging, and generally fun game. The The story didn't quite pack the punch it could have, and the game desperately needs more in-game tutorials and quest guidance. However, with all of its missteps taken into account, X is still one of my favorite experiences of the year, and a JRPG that no fan of the genre will want to miss. If you have a Wii U, this is a must-buy. If you don't have a Wii U, well, you might just want to consider buying one for this game. Have you played Xenoblade Chronicles X? If so, what's your opinion of the game? Do you think it topped the experience of the original Xenoblade, or did this one fall short of your expectations? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to rate the video and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.